Welcome. On the occasion of the Trieste Investment Forum 2022, we wish to commemorate our friend and colleague Franco Delneri, who passed away last February. For that purpose, we would like to engage in a conversation with his wife, Fevzie Delneri, who is with us. Thank you very much, Fevzie, for being with us. We would like to discuss with you how Franco felt about the Trieste Forum and what it represented, not only professionally, but if you want, for your family life. So, Fevzie, let's start from this. How did Franco prepare for the forum? Was the family involved in some way?
Thank you, first of all, Paolo. Naturally, the forum was a professional commitment for him. And as a professional, Franco was keen to do well whatever his job required him to do. But the Trieste Forum was something special for him. He put in it not only his expertise and experience in the region, Western Europe and the Balkans, but also his personal engagement, his passion, his vision. And of course, he thought about this forum all year long. And we spoke often in our family conversation about this forum. Eastern Europe was part of his life, of our life.
Well, he was born in the region, wasn't he?
Yes, he was born in Ronchi dei Legionari, near Trieste.
The airport.
Yes, exactly. And his father worked for Eni for many years, so the family traveled a lot because of father's job. Ravenna, Ferrara, Monfalcone, and even in Yugoslavia. His father worked for 1 year there. Franco was graduated at the Bologna University as a mechanical engineer, and he worked for Italian societies and traveled a lot also, especially in Eastern Europe, which he got to know very well. And it was one project of European Bank for Reconstruction and Development that he brought him in Tashkent, in Uzbekistan. It was a project for 1 year, but Franco was fascinated by Uzbekistan, and we fell in love. And he decided to come back to Uzbekistan, and he won in one concourse, to say one competition, yes, for the position, yes, for position of deputy representative of the bank in
So
Tashkent.
you really liked Tashkent and Uzbekistan. What attracted him in Tashkent?
Everything, I can say, yes, everything. The people, the weather, the arts, cities, history, and so on.
Well, the life there is in a way very different from the one in Western Europe, but that must have made it even more attractive, more exotic for him.
Yes, Franco used to say that it is a place of discoveries and to discover. everything surprisingly new, and at the same time very familiar. It gave him the idea that we have in Europe endless opportunities to see different things and see things differently. We can live differently in Europe. Perhaps more simply, more openly, with more warmth, less consumerism, more solidarity.
You were born in Uzbekistan, so quite far from Trieste. What did Europe mean for you? How an Uzbek looks to Europe? What was your perspective of Europe from Tashkent for you and Franco, of course?
I can say Uzbekistan is and has been always has been a land of sharp contrasts. But you feel there also the continuity and the multiple shades that link Europe and Asia. Asia within Europe and Europe within Asia. Different cultures, ethnicities, religions, lifestyles, traditions. And at the same time, you are struck by the specific traits of the Uzbek way of life. The dramatic contrast between the openness of urban life and the archaic mentality of the countryside, between the still plains and the steep mountains. Basically, everything is mixed there. Everything mixes. Mixing and migrating is an integral part of the local culture. And it's linked with the European identity.
Yeah, the same thing in Europe. I mean, everything is mixed and mixes in wider Europe.
Yes, exactly. And after the collapse of the Soviet Union, we had huge waves of Uzbek immigration towards Russia, Crimea, European Union, Israel, etc. And now we see a massive inflow of Russians fleeing the war in Ukraine and its unbearable consequences.
Franco, as an Italian, how did he feel in Uzbekistan? How did he feel in Tashkent?
Franco became integrated fast and easily in Tashkent. He learned the language, made friends, loved the food, the arts, think that he was invited to traditional Osh parties, the home banquets at 6 in the morning, that signify special friendship, intimacy, and hospitality. And all local peasant tradition. Besides the Italian presence in Eurasia dates back centuries. As you know, from the Venetian travelers, Genoese merchants. After 1989, Italian entrepreneurs were among the first and quickest to visit and do business in Uzbekistan, establish joint ventures. Franco particularly enjoyed the company of artists, painters, musicians. He loved also artisans and carpet weavers. All over the region, there is plenty of that, you know. You see from the 1930s onwards, vanguard artists settled there as a fleeing Soviet orthodoxy, socialist realism, you know, or attracted by the exotic beauty of the places. Franco felt at home in Tashkent and in the whole Eastern Europe, also in Serbia. We spent there many years. Italians mostly do. By the way, do you know where the song O Sole Mio was composed?
O Sole Mio?
Yeah,
Where was it composed?
on the shores of the Black Sea.
Really?
Yeah, the author, yes, Edoardo di Capua, visiting in 19th century, thought the coast looked like the Costiera Amalfitana and became homesick.
That's amazing. And how about the future? How do you perceive the future from Uzbekistan?
Franco believed Uzbekistan and the whole region have great potential, rich of raw materials and educated labor force, logistic, transport, trade, famous Silk Road, you remember, of course, cultural heritage and landscape, tourism in Uzbekistan. If only infrastructures could be improved and good governance promoted. He saw plenty of opportunities for economic and financial cooperation with the West and Italy in particular. He used to say that the wonderful people there deserved closer integration with the European Union, with extraordinarily mutual benefits. On that, the expert in business scouting, investment financing and development spoke in him.
Well, I remember very well that he met in Sarajevo, the Uzbek finance minister, and they discussed together the opportunities of establishing a dialogue, a bilateral dialogue, Italy, Uzbekistan, on financial services. And we have bilateral dialogues with other financial communities. But Fevzie, tell me something. Your name doesn't sound Uzbek or Russian. Or, what kind of name is that?
Yes, you are right. I was born in Uzbekistan, but I am Crimean Tatar, and my name is Turkish name. My grandparents were based in Crimea. And, you know, my father was only 14 when the Nazis in 1944 put him on track for deport him to a German labor camp, but was spared because considered too young for the job. But after several months, Stalin deported all Tatars of Crimea from their home to Uzbekistan and to other parts of the Soviet Union. And this travel was very hard, about months. They traveled in the terrible conditions. And many people died during this travel. In Uzbekistan, my parents were settled between Tashkent and Samarkand, in one small place. It was prohibited to live in the cities.
So that's why you were born in Tashkent. But then what happened with the perestroika of 1989?
Yes, after Perestroika in 1989, the Tatars of Crimea started to move to their homeland, and also my parents decided to move in 1992. It was a very hard period because without any aid, they sold everything in Uzbekistan and bought something in Crimea. Yes, and nobody expected them there. Nobody invited them, and nobody expected.
But they wanted to go back.
Yes, absolutely. Paolo, what I should say, that the fear of deportation is in the DNA of my people, Crimean Tatars. After 2014 and the Russian occupation of Crimea, my mother had the terror of being deported once again. You know, she died in 2016 with that fear. Many people and friends and I fear that the deportation from Crimea might happen again now.
This war, the war in Crimea, very near the home of your family, your people, must affect you personally, your feelings. How do you feel personally about this war?
Yes, I remember my mother saying, I hope you will never go through what we did. So as a child, I thought this was a refrain typical of old folks. But now the war is a shocking reality. We see all tragedies repeating themselves, unfolding under our eyes like old nightmares. Franco would have not believed this war to be possible. He was more optimistic about the future than I was. And I have family, friends, Ukrainians, Russians, Tatars, all dramatically involved. It is a fratricidal war. To see the destruction and the human suffering in Ukraine is a shock and an unbearable pain. In my courses at the University of Tashkent, I made friends with people coming from the wall of the Soviet Union, and we kept contact. Franco and I went almost every year to Kiev, to Crimea, to Uzbekistan, of course, and the whole of Eastern Europe. I also have friends in Russia, but I fear contacting them. What will they think? What will they say? I fear how the propaganda affected them. I see dramatic splits even within families, between generations. And I feel paralyzed by the fact that we cannot travel. We do not have enough information, no idea of when and how this war will end.
Now Ukraine has demanded accession to the EU. The same thing for Georgia and Moldova. I trust and hope that the enlargement process has been unblocked by the tragedy of this war. So how do you see the future for these countries in the EU?
I was born in Soviet Union, as you know. I saw firsthand the transition from communism to more open society. I have lived in a closed economy and a totalitarian society and can now fully appreciate what it means to live in a democracy. When I was a student, Europe for us represented the dream of freedom and prosperity. The European dream. The attraction, particularly on the young generation, was very strong. That attraction led many of us to live. That attraction is still, I believe, very strong. It motivates people towards more openness, democracy, and reforms. The Russian invasion has shown how precarious and challenging, but also necessary, are the efforts to integrate all the people of our region into a pan-European community. Franco thought that the Trieste Forum had contributed and will contribute to that purpose. He was an idealist European. I have shared that belief and commitment and continue to share it with him, of course.
Do you think that this perspective is realistic? How long do you think it will take?
Paolo, an old proverb of ours says, the music of the steppes,
The peasant.
yes, the peasant, is very slow. He takes a long time to get ready to leave, prepare his horse and put the saddle in place. But when he is on the saddle, he will ride fast and nothing will stop him.
Thank you very much, Fevzie. Thank you.
Thank you, Paolo.